What is this place, Lucina? I feel a magical power here.
This appears very similar to Arena Ferox. Most curious.
Ferox? That's a place from your world, right?
Yes. Ferox is a kingdom divided by east and west, with a militaristic Khan overseeing each. Every so many years, a fighting tournament is held to determine which Khan will rule them all. Arena Ferox is where I cross swords with my father.
He taught you swordsmanship, yes? It must have been an interesting, if fierce bout.
Yes. It was a hard fight. He had no idea who I was and held nothing back. He'd trained me well, but that fight was when I first saw just how strong my father really was. That must be precisely why this familiar place was chosen as a trial ground.
Trial ground? What does that mean?
We each feel the extraordinary power here. Tell me what it feels like deep down.
It's almost like I'm sensing your power, but also like you're far away.
Well then, draw your weapon. Fight me. If you pass the trial, our bond will grow stronger. With a stronger bond, you will be able to draw upon more of my power as an emblem.
I hope I can learn as much in this arena as you did.
That's good to hear. However, it's going to require more than hope for you to win this battle.
You're going to be surprised if you think I'm only bringing hope to this fight.
That's the spirit.
Welcome to our first Emblem paralogue, Lucina's. I have a few things to say about these maps before we begin. Each map has a paralogue referencing a map from Fire Emblem history. As throwbacks, they feel quite different from the main chapters. Case in point, this map has almost zero terrain. We haven't seen that since the prologue. Each Emblem paralogue has you fight the emblem in question, meaning you can't deploy them yourself. I often get the sense these maps were designed to ensure absence makes the heart grow fonder. This map's a great example. It features a dense enemy formation in open terrain that Bonded Shield would easily dismantle. It's a shame we can't use that here. These paralogues test your team building and preparation more than the main missions. If you lean on recent recruits and emblems, you'll find maps like Chapter 13 set up to let them carry you to victory. Here, not so. The map's more open-ended. Engager's main chapters are also set up so every unit has something to do. That's not always true for these paralogues, so you may find yourself benching even a star who simply lacks good matchups. I'm excited for these. My team building and preparation really pay off here. As I rambled about in Chapter 13, there is another side to that coin. Emblem paralogues can be tough customers for the unprepared player. The nice thing about them is that they don't scale with the level of your units the way the DLC does. You can open a map, realize you want a specific build for it, and work towards putting that together through advancing the story, instead of ramming your head against the wall because you have no choice but to play a map your team isn't suited for. One reason you can afford to be flexible with your sequencing is that the main reward for playing an Emblem paralogue is letting you progress their bond rank past 10. That isn't usually too time sensitive. Lucina gives dual support and dual assist plus at higher bond ranks, which are sometimes vital to a team, but a unit mainly clicking Bonded Shield can easily live without that stuff or the parallel falchion. There are assorted small rewards, such as a couple enemies who drop gold here, but unlike previous titles, there aren't any crazy unique items only attainable in paralogues. Some of the rank 15 engage weapons go toe-to-toe with the best paralogue rewards from previous games, to be clear, but I wouldn't feel bad about skipping one of these if you don't think it's worth the effort. This series will of course show them all. Unlike the villager paralogues, which have difficulty suggesting you play them immediately, these maps are generally ordered based on when a unit's likely to hit bond rank 10 without arena training. That means they're quite tough if played as soon as possible. Lucina's paralogue opens before even Chapter 12, but the recommended level of this map is 19, situating it between Chapters 15 and 16. Every enemy here is promoted. We won't see that for quite some time in the main chapters. Players commonly wonder when to play these maps. If you're asking, I think you're best off playing these when your team hits their recommended level or you cap bond rank, whichever comes first. If you think a few more levels or tools would help, don't be afraid to come back later. Use the flexibility the game gives you to avoid undue frustration. I'd also recommend at least opening every paralogue immediately if you aren't familiar with them, just so you know what you're in for. There are good reasons to subvert that timeline, however. First, the paralogues aren't story maps. There's no guarantee you'd find this map harder than Chapter 15, even if that's what the recommended level says. The paralogues often play much tamer with the right approach. That's where this series comes in. I'll try my best to highlight strategies to let you beat these maps even seriously underleveled. If you do that, these maps make great training. A unit like Zelkov doesn't get much from defeating an unpromoted doofus from Chapter 13, but he'd get XP here. The extra training will make him gain even less XP from story maps, so it's not possible to stay above the level curve forever. But for a unit like Zelkov, a few extra stats or the ability to reclass out of Thief can mean a lot. I'd caution that while judicious overleveling increases your margin for tactical error, it decreases your margin for strategic error. Letting an overleveled Zelkov steamroll Chapter 14 will drastically reduce the XP you gain from that map. Double-digit XP on weaker units becomes single-digit XP on him. That makes your team more brittle, less able to handle problems your super unit can't solve. If you've played the game enough to know there really isn't much an overleveled Lyn Ivy can't solve, and you plan for the exceptions, it works out. But I'd caution newer players about the possibility of hitting a wall. One of my first Maddening runs tried to sequence Camilla's paralogue around now, with an overleveled Ivy and a bunch of underleveled scrubs. I did not finish Camilla's math or that run. Lesson learned. The XP doesn't have to go to a unit pushing against the level curve. I'm deploying Kagetsu and Merrin here, both below the level my saline hit in Chapter 9. I'll get plenty of XP here, but won't end up overleveled. It's often a good idea to play these paralogues right after a unit you want to train joins. In particular, I'll note that the two recruits we get in Chapters 14 and 15 don't rely on combat for experience and have appealing class skills to work towards. There's also future emblems you can use and build bond rank with here, but I already have 6 emblems, so that's not a major concern for me. The last consideration for sequencing these maps is the one I'm considering most, your desired difficulty curve. At this point in the campaign, we're basking in the power of Lucina and Lyn, and in the power of our elite new recruits. Chapter 13 and 14 have a lot of unpromoted scrubs that units like Ivy demolish, and only a few difficult promoted foes and bosses. Here every enemy is a tough promoted foe, we don't have Bonded Shield, and let's just say Citrinne isn't gonna dominate like last time. She's waiting for the Radiant Boat from Chapter 14, after all. The soul maps challenge you in other ways, fog of war, restrictive terrain, and longer maps that exhaust your resources. Still, I don't want that to get monotonous, and so playing this map early gives us a chance to experience having the limiting factor on our pace be enemy stats, not positioning. I want to show a wide variety of engaged gameplay, not just racing to the finish line fighting unintimidating foes. Normally, I struggle with balancing the desire to show off my team with the goal of having the series reflect what I consider everyday engaged play. My inner Lapis fanboy would rather have published her soloing Chapter 9 than the clear I ended up with, but I wanted to show something like the intended solutions to those problems. These paralogues don't really have that tension, so I'm excited for them. Normally I avoid showing DLC-only solutions, but hey, if you don't have the DLC, just wait a few maps and you'll get even better tools than the ones I have. Awakening's Arena Ferox was hardly designed around Byleth. There's not some brilliant puzzle we're missing, just different tools for the same open-ended problems. What are those problems? We face a lot of min-max enemies, sporting varied weaponry and lopsided satyr solutions. A longbow-wielding bow knight can take on the Thoron sages, but they'll probably do 0 damage to the generals. Similarly, Anna's a great matchup for the generals, because their smash weapons would let her avoid taking any hits, but she'd melt against the enemy berserkers, and dodge tanking against Lucina's 159 hit won't work as well as in Chapter 13. Lucina has effective weapons against dragons, cavalry, armor, and flyers, so she embodies this dynamic. You may not have anyone who can 1v1 her, but when she commits to a weapon, you'll have options. This map can play similarly to the first half of Chapter 10. If you thread the needle and find gaps in the overlapping enemy ranges, you can pick your battles. It's hard to find these nooks and crannies here because there's barely any terrain, but a little tactical retreating often works wonders. Also, like Chapter 10, I have a more direct approach in mind. As often for the paralogues, we'll use some unusual emblem assignments. We're missing Lucina, so Lapis is both a free agent and our bulkiest unit, on a map where bulk is more important than usual. She'll take Ike and charge headlong into the danger zone. Some Lyn users can thrive here, but Citrinne's not that Lyn user, and Sniper Citrinne's definitely not. That means I'm focusing less on Lyn as a speed stack than usual, so Alear's a good fit. With 6 emblems for 6 deployments, she's finally getting a respite from spur attack duty, and we'll appreciate Lyn's dragon synergies. Amber's with Camilla. On many maps, Camilla's soar feels too valuable to waste on a natural flyer, but this map doesn't reward flight, and does reward swinging a big axe. My other pairings are standard fare for this team, but there are still a few updates. Chloé's still working with Veronica, and her class change to Royal Knight will be quite useful. Merrin's now a Griffin in her stead, and she's a good fit for 3 houses with Amber eyeing other emblems. I said in my 3 houses analysis that I generally pair them with either a unit who doesn't need to double, or a unit who doesn't need help to double. Amber's the former and Merrin the latter. The ring's bonuses will nicely round out her stats. Swordmaster Kagetsu really doesn't enjoy Solm's large terrain-filled maps. As a 5-movement unit without canter, he's our least mobile fighter. Here he's much happier and will take Tiki, setting the standard going forward. Jean's graduated to being a full-fledged archer, so he doesn't want to lose his bows when engaged. It's a real credit to this game's tactical depth that a map this featureless can still be a ton of fun to put together a clear for. I hope you agree.
Don't hold back. Strengthen our bond. Fight with everything you've got.
I've got this. Emblem, engage!
Any Lin user can aggro Lucina turn 1 with Astra Storm. She then approaches you and can be rushed next turn. That's a good trick to know for easily beating this map regardless of your team. Using the +5 range from Lin's Dragon's energy, Alear can instead hit this Sage to weaken him. We don't want to take a Thoron, so even though he's easily one-rounded, this partial damage still matters. From this position, Alear provides Divinely Inspiring for units fighting Berserkers on both sides. Kagetsu returns the favor by giving Alear Divine Blessing. We'll see how this comes into play later, but if nothing else, it's free XP.
I love you all!
Kind of you.
You got it!
Amber can use his Dragon Bane. If Kagetsu gets hit, this heals 10 HP.
What a lovely scene.
Chloé also uses her turn productively with Summon Hero. The color doesn't matter much here, but I'm going blue to minimize the chance of stolen XP later. With Veronica's Cavalry synergy finally unlocked, my summon gets +1 movement. It would have helped a lot in Chapter 13, but hey, at least now I don't need to fret my luck. I do not think any summon can mess us up. Lapis is the only one who truly has nothing to do. She simply moves forward. Merrin's using Obstruct, both for bond rank and because I think the weakened Sage may sometimes move fully west. We want him to separate from the others. These Berserkers aren't the easiest benchmark. Amber's just trying to reliably set up a kill for Kagetsu next turn, and funnily enough, the Lollichop is the best weapon for that job. He can do that because Kagetsu managed to luck into this kill benchmark thanks to Yunaka's strength +3 Emil. With a big axe or tome, it's not so bad. But base Tiki Swordmaster Kagetsu normally needs a crit here. I engraved Eternal Claw for crit, and rushed Kagetsu's B support with Alear to maximize my odds, but it all worked out. They just charge us, unlike the other foes that are always aggroed. Amber continues to find his res stat by beating up the healthy Sage, cantering out of enemy range. I think this is a great example of Momentum's value in a more casual context. It's not that we've maxed out Amber's damage elsewhere and Momentum's irreplaceable, like the Chapter 10 Hyacinth kill. Instead, Momentum makes a non-trivial yet attainable benchmark, one-shotting the Sage, totally free, saving resources and mental effort. When I think of Momentum's return on investment, the flashy stuff definitely factors in. I also think of how nice it is Amber does this with the base Tomahawk I had lying around. Merrin cleans up the Sage Alear weakened. These guys are mean, they have 43 magical attack from 3 range, so they're quite hard to enemy face. With the magic out of the way, Lapis can charge in. Lapis isn't strong enough to take out the generals, even with +36 damage from effectiveness, but with Laku's friend and Great Aether's +5 defense, she's incredibly durable and can soften foes up for player phase. As a dragon, Alear spawns a 5th double, which breaks the map's bilateral symmetry. Lucina's parallel falchion is normally lights out for Alear, but the doubles take the heat instead. The double below Lapis prevents her from being pushed south. With Chloe's obstruction to her east, Lapis can't be moved and will retaliate with Great Aether. Lucina's all about that power of friendship, so it's no surprise these enemies have chain AI. They really take that up a notch by passing up kills in the doubles to attack Lapis, which I can't say I understand. You know how this works? Let me know in the comments. Lapis, the trooper she is, survives exactly so long as the annoying 5 crit on the steel Great Lances doesn't come through. I've given her a luck tonic to make that less likely. Lucina sees a kill with her engage attack and lets it fly. The setup makes her movement consistent, which is normally the weakness of call doubles. Because Lapis didn't get pushed around, she's able to weaken all of the foes who attacked her with Great Aether. Ike doesn't have to get one-shots to be invaluable. You wouldn't need emblems or fancy builds to clean up now. We have emblems and fancy builds to spare, however. Amber's coming in blazing hot with a Dark Inferno. With momentum off of Camilla's extra movement and our trusty Steel Great Axe +1, he can one-shot Lucina's first health bar and wipe out the weakened foes on the right checkerboard color. The complexity of last turn's setup was really about making sure this gets 3 kills. Amber's charge looks suicidal, given Lucina's Parthia and the sniper in range, but the flames will help us protect him. First we take care of the sniper. They spawned in along with the Southern Swordmasters because we aggroed Lucina. There's another set of reinforcement Wolf Knights from the top stairs 2 turns after this group, but we won't see them. I forged Fólkvangr +3 here so I'd get this kill with 3 out of 4 Lin double chain attacks. That takes us from something like 70% chances to 95%. Merrin shows us how it's done by taking unforged Noatune and one round in the other sniper with 100% success. As with many such physical benchmarks, your best options for replicating this are Kagetsu, then Merrin, then a pretty big step down. Lapis can clean up the Berserker and block Lucina from hitting Amber. We'll keep the other Berserker alive for next turn. Might seem odd to be so unconcerned about Lucina, but that's where Lin comes in. Lucina sees 5 kills, the parallel falchion against Alear, and 4 easy kills against Alear's doppelgangers, so she normally attacks a double. Not going to use call doubles much, but that's because it's centralizing, not because it's bad. It trivializes a lot of problems by breaking up overlapping enemy ranges or covering a player phase push like I'm doing now. If it weren't tied to Lin, I think you'd see these talked about as one of the better skills in the game. A battling subversion of the map symmetry. The Western Swordmaster gets a silver sword, but the Eastern one gets a killing edge. The killing edge guy has 24 attack speed instead of 23 and has a real crit chance, so mere mortals usually can't enemy phase him reliably. Kagetsu's built different. No one in the game comes close to combining these concrete benchmarks with RNG stats. Louis might have had 77 hit against the Berserkers. Kagetsu has a 77% crit chance. He has a 71% avoid chance. He survives a killing edge crit because he's Kagetsu, but he's also less likely to get crit because he's Kagetsu. He doubles them back because he's Kagetsu, and he 1 rounds because he's Kagetsu, but he also has 100 hit because he's Kagetsu, and he gets a crit for good measure because he's Kagetsu. Alear will get a chance to show her dialogue here. Divine Blessing gives us crit insurance after being AI targeting insurance last enemy phase. Each emblem gets unique dialogue with at least one unit besides Alear. Lucina has lines with Alfred. You get the sense Engage's designer thought about how the royals would work together as a team. With Sigurd gone, Alfred's a very natural Lucina user, and it's cool to see that acknowledged. I wouldn't say all the pairings with dialogue are necessarily a good idea, but this time things line up. The Berserker we left alive is our Edelgard Airlines ticket, so Merrin reaches the boss. While I piece together the boss kill, there's some improv because Lucina had a fair number of options last turn. I want to double back on a few things I didn't have time to mention previously. The Berserker Merrin obliterates saw a kill on Veronica's summon, which never happened in testing. They really have to suck. Normally he would attack a double instead, which is fine.
What's wrong? You won't win just by standing there.
Your stance has no openings. I don't see how I could hit you no matter where I strike.
Doubt will only dull your attacks. Trust in yourself, and come at me with everything.
Understood. Here I come.
I have it!
Lucina herself is a pretty brutal boss if she's leading her comrades, but alone the normal boss strats work well. She has no 1-2 range weapons, so her tremendous 27 speed and effective damage aren't that scary. If you never let her attack, she keeps Parthia equipped, which makes things easier. My original plan for this map involved Freeze and Book of Worlds to keep her pinned down, a strategy worth keeping in mind.
Quickly now!
Oh no, an effective damage crit! Oh, never mind, we're fine. Merrin's done a lot of stuff here Amber couldn't by doubling, but this Houses Unite isn't quite as impressive. It doesn't one round Lucina, even with Alear adjacent.
Let's see you dodge this! So strong.
Short and sweet, and of course Amber's in his rightful place. Next map is one I've eagerly anticipated giving the expertly enjoying engaged treatment. Chapter 14 in Solm Castle. By a papaya!
I lost. Your combat skills have grown admirably, compared to when we first met. You've grown strong and become a formidable opponent.
Thank you. It is in no small part because of your guidance, Lucina.
Such kind words. If I helped you at all, then I couldn't be happier. There's a lesson there, you know. What one person can achieve on their own is limited.
I agree. I couldn't have come this far by myself. Everything I've accomplished has been thanks to those who have fought beside me.
I'm relieved to hear that. I feel my friends close by even now. Their spirits live on in me.
Their spirits live on.
The power of my bonds with them helped us to change a hopeless future, the same as you are now, with your own allies.
You're one of those allies, Lucina, aren't you?
Of course. I'll fight with you until the very last.
Then we can't lose. No matter what the world sends our way.
You're right. Our bonds are far stronger than destiny.